Hey, I'm Janet Holtz. Welcome to the Be Well Now Method podcast. This podcast is for you if you're a health professional or a health seeker wanting to transform exercise into a resource for improving health and well-being. I created the Be Well Now method because for many people, exercising is stressful. It's time-consuming, painful, confusing, embarrassing, expensive, and a constant should hanging over their head. Why? Well, as a clinical exercise physiologist, I see many approaches to exercise that are missing the basic foundational science of movement and exercise. And as a certified health and wellness coach, I see many approaches to exercise that are missing the basic foundational motivation science concepts. The result is that word exercise can put you in a stress state. Exercise can shift your cells from the stress state to the well state only when you do it well. That shift from the stress state to the well state is the hinge point of being healthy. The stress state is where energy goes away from healing, growing, and learning. The well state is the physiologic state where energy is going into healing, growing, and learning. This podcast does more than tell you what to do, because knowing what to do but not doing it can keep you in the stress state. This podcast is a way to coach yourself or your clients through using body and brain science along with your own inner science to exercise in a way that helps you feel and function better now without stress, but to be well now. The clinical exercise coaching series of the podcast is where we address common medical conditions that can be helped by exercise, but also present challenges to exercising that make it stressful. Together, we will take the stress out of exercising with medical issues by using exercise to treat the root cause of the struggle with moving and motivating. Today, we'll focus on osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis, or OA, is the most common type of arthritis. It's a condition that affects the whole joint, including the muscles, the cartilage, the ligaments. The root cause of the pain with OA is inflammation from damage to the joint, muscles, bone, cartilage, and ligaments. The downstream effects of that pain include, number one, the cycle of inactivity. Pain makes you avoid physical activity, and that can lead to muscle weakness, feeling joint instability, more pain, and other health problems, particularly in people with lower limb osteoarthritis, such as with your knees or your hips or ankles and feet. So staying active and keeping muscles strong can help with the pain and stop this cycle of decline. But doing that when you're in pain is a challenge. The second challenge is weight gain. Reduced activity can lead to weight gain, and weight gain can cause more pain, further reducing activity. This can be a very frustrating cycle. And it's can lead you to feeling like you can't exercise and you can't lose weight because you can't exercise, feeling stuck. The third challenge is the mental and emotional and social stressors that happen with these challenges. When you have limited movement, it limits what you can do and your ability to do things with those you love. This can add to stress and social isolation. All of these can mean that OA can lead to chronic stress, even lead to depression and anxiety. And since chronic stress is a pro-inflammatory, it's really important that we take a look at these three challenges and treat the root cause with exercise, but address these challenges so that you can get unstuck and unshould and start exercising with OA to really get the benefits of it and to feel better. So exercising well means you're exercising in a way that shifts your cells from the stress state to the well state right away. The Be Well Now method is the three-step way to do this because it addresses the whole person challenges and helps you find whole person solutions. So we start with the B step, the ability to meet yourself right where you are right now, to listen to your body and respond with kindness. So let's just start right now, just noticing how your body feels right now. And just pause and adjust your body so it feels like your bones are holding you and your body just feels supported by itself. Feel your breath moving in and out and feel this sense of your body is taking care of you. that your breath is moving in and out, your body is digesting food, your bones are holding you up, your body is hardwired to take care of you. So drop into this sense of trusting your body that it does know how to take care of you. And let that connect you with what you know inside, what's most important to you. So just underneath the surface of all of that frustration of living with OA and living in pain and being limited, notice what's below the surface of that. What are you really wanting right now? What's most important? And just connect with that knowing inside. It's often beyond words. So just connect with that sense of you're here because you want to feel and function better. What does that mean? And then notice how your body feels and notice what could you move right now that would not be painful or would be pain reducing. So what would feel good to move that would be an anti-inflammatory. And if it's nothing at all, just put your hand on your heart or do a little gentle massage or even visualize moving your body. But practice moving or visualize moving in this relaxed present state where you're listening to your body and you're trusting it. And just practice that right now and notice how that feels. And then when you come back to being still, notice any greater connection to your body, to what you know inside. And from this place of connection to your body and the sense of trusting that it is designed to take care of you, let's move on to just taking inventory. Just notice what is going well right now. What are you feeling best about? What medical treatments or medical providers or treatments that you're doing, anything you're doing at all right now that seems to be helping with the OA? Anything at all. You're wearing a brace on that area. Did you find a great rheumatologist who's helping you? You know, what are you grateful for right now that's going well? What are you doing that's helping? And then think about what would you like to go better? Where are the challenges and the frustrations that are important to you? They wouldn't be frustrating if they weren't important to you. So we're going to use this kind of challenge, this sense of being stuck and frustrated with OA to guide to what is most important. So just take a moment to just brainstorm and list and rant. What is keeping you stuck right now? What is frustrating? Medical treatments, your motivation, mindsets, what movements are frustrating. And so take that, write it down, write down the highlights so that you're aware of what's going well, which really sets up your brain to use that to help solve problems and to really identify what are the main concerns. Where do you want to put your energy right now? And that brings us to the well step. The well step is where we get to that center. You're going to hear all of this advice about what you should do to exercise with osteoarthritis. And everything from push through pain, you'll feel better when you lose weight, to just swim, go to a pool and swim, you'll feel better. And maybe some of that will work, maybe it won't. But the thing is, only you know inside. Only you know what's most important to you. Only you know how your body feels. So take a moment to just notice what is most important to you. What is worth investing some energy in to investigate what might be something you could do. And just noticing that and choose something that is really important for you to be able to figure out and be able to do. Maybe it's a certain activity. Maybe it's a mindset you want to shift. Maybe it's finding better medical care. But what is most important to you right now? Why is that important? So this well step is getting to that why, that deeper inner why, that core, that center of what only you know inside, because that is where you find the best source of information, the best guidance, and the way to simplify things, that you can take all that information and you can say, yeah, but this is most important to me right now. I'm just going to focus on this. So you're not wasting energy on everything else and even worrying about it. You just know what's important to you. So now that you've got that and you can understand what's most important, now we can know that pain is a sign that something needs to change. That pain is there to tell you something. It might be a pain that's been there for a long time, and maybe it's a mindset that needs to change. Not that you have to push through pain, but maybe it's a mindset about that area to build some restoration in your strength and your confidence in your body. Or it might be an actual pain that something that you're doing is pro-inflammatory. But whatever it is, when there's pain, it's a sign something needs to change, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. So trust the pain. You don't have to like the pain. I know you don't like the pain, but you can trust it, that it is a sign. It's a wake-up call. Okay. And so let's take a moment to think about what will help. And what we know will help is to trust movement science, motivation science, exercise science. Let's trust the evidence. Let's trust the scientific principles. And once we start following those, exercise becomes a lot easier. What I find is that when I talk to people, when they're struggling, usually they're denying one of the principles of movement science, motivation science, or exercise science. So this is in the now step. Now we come into these ways to follow this. Okay. And I have 4 tips for you today to follow those. So now what are we going to do? Well, the first thing is meet yourself where you are right now. You might have a not yet list, things that you can't do yet that you really want to be able to do, but you can't do yet. Your body is saying, nope, I don't have what I need to do that yet. Maybe it's running. Maybe it's hiking with your family. Maybe it's, fishing, whatever it is. Your body might be saying, not yet. Put that on the not yet list. Know that your body has the capability of getting stronger, especially when you're following these principles. Okay. Meet yourself where you are and commit to moving in a pain-free or a pain-reducing range right now. This takes presence, takes being aware, not distracting while you're exercising just to push through pain so you could burn calories so that you can lose weight. So someday you feel better. Listen to your body. When you have pain, get curious. Is it increasing or decreasing? That's going to tell you whether inflammation is increasing or decreasing. If you start moving and that achiness starts to dissipate, awesome. You have found that anti-inflammatory level. Keep it in that level. If you kept moving and then pain returned, now you've entered the pro-inflammatory range. We want to keep it in that sweet spot of that anti-inflammatory range for intensity, for frequency, duration, and the type of exercise that you're doing. So think about those variables and how you can change how long you're moving for. Maybe a 30-minute walk is uncomfortable, but 15 minutes is that sweet spot where you don't have pain. So you do a 15-minute walk, okay? Or maybe it's the range of motion that you're doing. Maybe you keep it in a pain-free range of motion, or you lower the intensity of something that you're doing for a little while until you build up that strength. Or maybe you do weight-bearing exercise every other day, and on the alternate days, you do some strength exercises so that you're doing non-weight-bearing, non-repetitive weight-bearing exercise to give your body a day of rest from that weight-bearing exercise. So these are just examples of things that I've noticed that really help when somebody is struggling and pushing through pain. Meet yourself where you are. Know that pain is a sign something needs to change. Have a not yet list and commit to using pain as a guide to keeping it in that pain-free or pain-reducing range right now. Okay, you will get stronger in that pain-free, pain-reducing range. Pushing through pain will only make more inflammation and pain. Okay, so that's number 1. Write down anything that comes to mind with that. Now, number 2, how do you do a balance of mobility, strength, and stamina? So check in with this. When you think of exercise, what do you think of? Do you think of just walking or just cardio? Do you prefer strength? Do you think stretching is not worth your time or very worth your time? Or do you just think stretching is like just yoga? What do your thoughts come to mind when you think about these types of exercise? Exercise is the balance of these 3. Our body needs mobility. It needs strength and it needs stamina. For everything we do involves some amount of each of these. Riding a bike, you need the mobility to get up and down off that bike. You need strength to push up hills. You need strength to be able to lift that bike on the bike carrier. You need all 3 of these to do anything you want to be able to do. So think of, when you hear the word exercise, think balance, mobility, strength, and stamina. So then we want to make it whole person, right? Do these in a way that you're really using your whole person, not just doing them to get through. Listening to your body and doing them in a way that is stress reducing. So to do that, we do mindful mobility moments, doing stretching and balance exercises, agility in small moments in your day. These are nice anti-inflammatory moments that can help bring you into mindfulness and reduce inflammation and stiffness. So if you've got a desk job and you're worried about sitting disease, we'll do another podcast on sitting disease. But if you're worried about sitting for so long being bad for you, the best thing you can do is get up and do some mindful mobility movements, following the principles of exercise movement and movement science, so that those mobility movements, that stretching, that balance is really helping you to get back to the present moment, clear some inflammation, and help your body become more mobile. Okay. So this is a really nice stress clearing moment and brings stress back into a cycle, gets you out of that stress state really nicely. The second type is whole person strength. So I call this whole person or whole life strength, meaning you want to be strong for your whole life. Maybe you did strength exercises in the past. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you see people doing strength exercise and you think, oh, that's only for young people. Or maybe you think I should only lift light weights because I'm getting older and it's dangerous to lift heavy weights. All of that stuff is really just misinformation. When you do a slow, gradual progression to strength movements that mimic the movements of the life, the movements that you want to be able to do, then your body is moving mechanically well and strong. And when you do a slow, gradual progression, then you're never sore. Keeping it in that range that you're not sore means exercise is being progressed at the right pace. If you're sore, it's a sign of too much too soon. So oftentimes this is a relief for people. Oftentimes also people have a hard time believing that if you're not sore, you're still making progress. But there is absolutely no research that said that soreness is needed to make progress. Soreness is inflammation and it doesn't help. It tells your brain that this is something to avoid. So if you feel soreness, back things up, slow things down, go at a slower progression with that, meaning do it less frequently, do less intensity, change those variables until you're not sore, and then progress gradually in a sore-free range so that you know strength exercises are getting you stronger, not increasing inflammation. Okay. So part of this is making sure that you're following the movement science principles, the three basic principles for moving well, starting in your natural alignment, using your core to support your center from the bottom of your pelvis all the way around to support your center in that natural alignment, and then hinging through your shoulders, your elbows, your hips, your knees. I have a video that I'll link in the show notes so that you can see what this means in practice, this basic movement skill that is often overlooked. But when you start integrating it, you're much stronger from the start, and these strength exercises become a lot easier. So this is whole life strength. It sets you up to be strong for your whole life with this gradual progression, doing movements that are specific to the movements that you want to be able to do rather than isolating muscle groups, and following the movement science principles as you're doing that. Okay. So that's how to make strength something that you can do to help your body feel better. And then stamina, which is cardiovascular exercise, but so much more than getting your heart rate up. Heart rate has one little piece of cardiovascular exercise. Cardiovascular is your whole system. And that gives you stamina, which is lasting energy. Who doesn't want more lasting energy? We all do. Energy is the currency of life. So we want as much lasting energy as we can get. The challenge is if you've got weight-bearing pain from arthritis or any pain, the cardiovascular exercise requires you to move repetitively, and that repetitive movement often is really hard for joints that are inflamed and have osteoarthritis. So oftentimes I find that starting with stretching and then strength works nicely to start with, and then start building in small amounts of cardiovascular exercise. As you get stronger, as you build more mobility in for anti-inflammatory, your body will tolerate likely more cardiovascular exercise. In the meantime, you can find some kinds of cardiovascular exercise that are not weight-bearing, like seated aerobics, like upper body cycling, or even cycling. Whatever type of cardiovascular exercise feels good for your body is not painful. Dancing is great because you can go in a chair, you can stand up, you can do it hybrid. Lots of ways to do cardiovascular exercise besides walking and swimming that might be more convenient and easier for you to do just small bouts to start out with. So a not painful range, giving you energy right away. So pain reducing or pain free, energy producing at a level that just feels comfortable for you, for your breathing, and know that it's enough. Even if you're moving continuously just for 5 minutes at a time, you will improve your stamina if you're doing that consistently. 3 times a week, you might do 5-minute bouts a few times a day. All right. So lots of variables there that you can use for cardiovascular exercise to make it work in a pain-free range, with the type, the intensity, the duration, the frequency, all of that. So we want to balance those 3 types. So think about exercise, think about those 3 types in one. That is what exercise means, to have a balance of that. And that's where we're most likely to feel good. Okay. The third tip to being able to move to get out of the stress state and use exercise well is to start at level 1 for each type, even if you think you can do more. Okay. We often don't know we did too much until the next day. So level 1, what I call level 1, is just doing range of motion for mobility. So not holding the stretch necessarily, but just moving through a range of motion that's pain-free, pain reducing. Doing the strength movements without any resistance to start. Just doing the movements and practicing incorporating those movement science principles of alignment, core support, and hinging as you're coordinating those muscles to work together. Muscle memory is the foundation of strength. These movements are building muscle memory, brain-body connection. Then when you layer on some resistance on top of that good, solid muscle memory, your body is going to feel better as you're doing strength movements. Okay, so trust that process. It's going to feel like you're not doing enough, but start at level 1. Level 1 for cardiovascular exercise is very light intensity, barely noticing your breathing, short duration, doing it every other day. Okay, so that you are giving your body a break. You're starting at a light intensity. You're practicing moving repetitively. See how your joints tolerate that the next day. Okay, so those are the level 1s of those, and your body will tell you. And then keeping a flexible progression is the last tip. So you want to progress gradually. That's a principle of exercise science, gradual progression. Just like a plant grows very slowly, our body changes slowly. So we want to do a gradual progression. But that's not always linear when you have a medical issue kind of complicating exercise. Okay. With osteoarthritis, you might progress a little bit and then something else increases your inflammation, and what you did yesterday feels worse today. And that might feel frustrating. It might feel like you're going backwards, but really flexible progression says, I know how to flex exercise so that I'm not doing all or nothing. I'm doing a little bit. And then if I have some pain, I know how to adjust it within the range of enough so that I can do some, but not cause inflammation. So this flexible progression means that you're adjusting the variables of how often you do it, how intense you do it, how frequent you do it, and what type you do, so that you're keeping it in a pain-free range all the time. Whether you've been doing it for 6 months and you have to take a step back one day or for a week because you just moved and that was pro-inflammatory for you, and now exercise needs to be something different. Okay, so pain being a guide, you've got these flexible ranges. So that means stretching once or more a day in small bouts, but you've got this level. You might go back to level 1 stretching. You might go back to just doing very short bouts more frequently throughout the day, very light so that it's pain reducing. With this whole life strength, 2 to 3 days a week is enough, but you might go to 1 day a week. 1 day a week is enough to maintain strength. 1 to 3 sets. So sometimes you might do 3 sets of each exercise, but sometimes 1 set might be just enough. And 8 to 12 repetitions. Sometimes you do 12, maybe even do a little bit more reps. Sometimes 8 or even a little less, whatever keeps it pain-free or pain reducing. Pain is the guide. Okay. And then with whole person stamina, 3 times a week for 30 minutes, you can do that. You can break that up into smaller bouts. So you might do 5 minutes, 3 times a day, 6 days a week. Okay. Some days you might do 30 minutes. Some days you might do 5 minutes and break that up into smaller bouts. When you get that equivalent of 3 days a week for 30 minutes, you're still getting the same amount, but you're keeping it in a pain-free range. So exercise puts you in the well state, doesn't increase inflammation. Okay. So think about those things. Think about, do you have a flexible progression mindset, or do you have a linear progression mindset? And that if you do less, it's failure. Okay. Think about these mindsets. Is that what needs to change so that you can use exercise to be well now with osteoarthritis? So this is kind of a broad overview of these points to check in on. Some of these you might check off and say, yep, I've got that. Some of these you might say, yeah, that's something I really need to work on. Okay. Hopefully this is a guide for you, a self-guided, self-coaching guide based on science and what you know inside. Okay. If you want step-by-step guidance, though, with this whole person science-based approach to exercising, then check out the programs that I offer. The Start Well program has been curated to give you this gradual progression to learn how to adopt these mindsets and these movements and these motivations so that you can exercise well, even when you're dealing with osteoarthritis or any other medical issue. Or even if you're just dealing with low motivation or fatigue or deconditioning or anything that's keeping you stuck, keeping you from exercising to be well now. So check it out at exercisingwell.com. Thank you for tuning in to the Be Well Now Method podcast. I hope you have a great day and be well now.